Hey everybody, welcome to the AO Scan tutorial. My name is Alex. If you ever have any questions about this tutorial, don't hesitate to reach out to our team. So the first thing we're going to look at here is the AO Scan app there in the bottom of the screen. I don't know if you can all see that there, right there, that's being highlighted. Okay, so if your phone doesn't have that, when you're first getting set up, you'll actually use the Google Play Store and download the app. And if you've never downloaded an app before, you can always reach out. We do have a little guideline for that, but it's fairly straightforward. Once you have the app on your phone, again, this is the AO Scan mobile app. You do want to check if you have 4G on, you don't have airplane mode on. So how do you do that? You scroll down at the top of the device. So you take your thumb or your finger all the way at the top of your device, and you see how you just hold and drag down, okay? And that'll reveal another menu. So if you've ever used an Android device, that's where a lot of things are hidden. If you can look here now, there's a little sort of gear wheel. To the right of that little gear wheel at the top, there's a little arrow down. Okay, so if you click that arrow down button, that'll give you even more options that are really useful to know. So what do we see here? First, mobile data appears to be off. And so mobile data, what does that have to do? That has to do with your T-Mobile plan, unlimited talk and text. That allows you to access the internet and do all that good stuff. And then the upper right left-hand corner, you'll see it's on airplane mode. So we don't want that. I'm sure we all know what airplane mode is. But this is where you turn it off, right here on this little screen. Okay, now turning that off, we can already see the mobile data is now starting to load. So it will start to come back into range and find those T-Mobile. Upper left-hand corner, we now see that it says T-Mobile, showing that it's connected. To the left of that mobile data bar, you see that is actually the Wi-Fi options that you can choose. So here's some local Wi-Fi options, and we are connected. Now, one little brief commentary is, depending on where you are in your service, now scroll all the way to the top of my phone, you see the 4G right there? You see how there's no bars filled? Now some just appeared. I'm in an area right now in my house where, the T-Mobile reception is not so good. If I go out to the main road, I don't really have an issue. The bars are much fuller, but I usually tend to then use Wi-Fi so that I have really smooth, quick functioning of the app. So that's just a little tip to you. If you're doing things in the app and you're just like, hey, what's going on here? It seems to be scrolling forever, or it's stuck on a condition, or what's happening? Just check your bars. It could be the fact that just having very low 4G reception, and that's an easy fix of just switching right onto your local internet, okay, to be able to increase that speed. So T-Mobile has pretty good coverage, but again, you may happen to live in a very strange spot, and we have a lot of mountains where I am and a lot of curvy roads. So anyways, let's roll right into opening the AO Scan app. So in this version on my phone, which is a little different than yours, I do have several options here. Normally, what you would see is the AO Scan mobile icon at the bottom there. And when you click on that, that's what you're actually going to use to log in. Okay, so what is the screen that brought us to? It's actually linking you right into your back office from the AO Scan mobile website. So when you're logging in as a returning customer. And what's your email address and password? Well, those would be the two things that you actually used to register. So remember when you registered and you did join membership on the main AO Scan mobile website, and you to become a distributor and to use this device. When you sign up for a subscription package to use AO Scan mobile, you'll be using the same login info here. Okay, so that's how you'll understand that piece. Okay, so I'm just going to back out of the screen here. Now, it's good that this other screen popped up here, because sometimes you also see something like this. Now, I was kind of partially logged in before, but sometimes when you load up the app the first time, okay, and since this popped up, I'll also make a brief commentary. New update is available. So for people in the basic package, but especially those with the pro level package, you may see this little notification pop up much more often, probably at least once a month, because you're dialed in for unlimited monthly updates. And so all that means is you just refresh the application. That's it. You can close it out, reload it again, and you'll get a new update. Sometimes that's new features, therapeutic options. It just depends. But again, just refresh the app, exactly what it says, and you might notice some new things in your new version. So again, when you load up the app, you sometimes will come to this sign in. So it's kind of obvious. You'll just click there. Click the AOScan mobile icon. I happen to be going through Google at the moment, if you saw me touch that. Brief comment, by the way, about battery power at the top. You see how it says 18%? This is a 3-day battery. It's a great device. It can be a little slow to charge because it is such a big battery. Just a little tip for you, if you just put in airplane mode or consider shutting off the device, you will power and recharge that device in record time. So just a little thing if you need to, power up. But if you leave this on and you're trying to power it up, I haven't actually tracked the charge time, but it's quite some time. So that's just a little tip. Put on airplane mode or just shut the phone off. All right, so now this is the main screen, okay? Now, if you look at the top, you'll see my name and my picture. That's because I'm already saved and loaded in here. But normally when you first open your app and or you are trying to do a session for a client or a friend or somebody in your family, you would do new client. So let's just assume it's the first time you're using the app. So you click new client, and this is where you're going to save your info first, of course, because it's your device. So this is all pretty self-explanatory. And there's a little picture of me down there. So that little button on the left that says switch, you see that next to the little icon? That will allow you to actually switch back and forth with actually seeing yourself like a selfie or the forward-facing camera. So why is that helpful? Well, two things. The forward-facing camera right here that you can see, there's my computer right there. So what if you were going to take a picture of somebody on your computer screen, let's say, okay? Well, you might want to use the forward-facing camera, or if you want to take a picture of somebody literally in front of you. If you want to take a picture of yourself, kind of obvious, you'd flip it back and you'd be using the camera actually facing you. So this one sometimes tricks people up, but if you want to then take a photo, you actually just tap the little screen. You see the screen moving here? So you actually just tap that screen and that'll actually take the photo, okay? So you don't click the switch button, you click the actual photo screen. And the way that you know that it took that photo, and I'll do it for you right now. Let's do the little computer screen because it's a little brighter. See how it's moving around. Now I'm going to hit the screen. Now look at that. You see how it's frozen? I'm actually moving the camera, but it's frozen right now. So when it freezes like that, then you know that, okay, I've actually got a still shot. I've actually got a photo. And then you can actually just move on by hitting the next button down there at the bottom, okay? When the next button, all that does is just take you back to the home screen, and then you can move on, basically run your sessions. Now let's just take a quick jump in. If you have an existing client, so it's kind of, again, obvious. If you've pre-programmed somebody in there, you can search for them by last name and first name. So let's just look for me. And I've noticed, by the way, as long as nobody has the same last name, you can just literally put their last name in or their first name. Then you hit search. Now see how it's just pulled me up right there? Now all I got to do is just click literally on whoever pops up. It loads up the screen already with all the info. Now I'm going to hit next at the bottom. Takes me right in here. Now look at the top screen. You see how I'm loaded in there? So now we know that if I do any of these sessions below, it will be connected to whoever was loaded up. So I think the interface is pretty simple as far as that goes. Is there anything else I need to tell you about? The one thing I would say is, yes, for pictures, if you're working with somebody remotely, absolutely, you can gather their info and just ask them, hey, could you take a selfie photo from at least your neck up? And an important thing to add is when you're doing your photo or you're getting a photo from somebody else, make sure that there's nothing else in the background, okay? And the reason for this is because there is algorithmic software that is actually analyzing the photo itself, okay? And it's coming up with a type of energy signature. So if you have, so in other words, it's a type of analysis of the image, your image. So if you have other objects and things in the background, those will actually be factored in as well. So we don't want to, add that in and then have basically scans or therapeutic programs that are run there that are partially inaccurate due to a photo not being clear. So again, plain background, don't wear any makeup or anything like that. Just, a photo that somebody would take first thing in the morning, maybe or right before bed or something like that. Again, it just has to be neck up, okay? So moving on here, this is the main interface that you'll be using. This is how it will look for whether you're on the basic plan or going all the way up to the pro level plan. These are a few of the options, okay? Now, the one section that may look different depending on your package is the Cephi, okay? So if you look down, see a little Cephi button, we're going to click that. Cephi is an acronym for Subtle Energy Frequency Printer. And it has just a conglomeration of different sorts of programs. So I wanted to share this one with you just real brief, because if you have the pro level package, you would have a lot of these different features and options here. If you had the basic plan, you may have like the top 2 functions. Let's scroll back to the main page again. So I'm clicking quick scan here. I just wanted to see if it was active. That may actually be the new update that I didn't do yet that will show that as active. But that's, again, like something that you can do on the fly, on the go, a couple times a day to get some quick insight. So it's basically conglomerating and sorting through a lot of the deeper aspects of what is going on in a person's body health-wise, but bringing to the surface something that's a little more palatable in terms of quickly glancing and seeing where your wellness level is at. So it doesn't go quite into the same depth, like, for example, comprehensive down here, what I just clicked on. I mean, as you can see here, just scrolling down, this is pretty comprehensive, and we look at in depth each of these different organ tissues. So it's a lot to, dive into. I think it's 14 pages or 16 pages, something like that. You may not need to jump into that right before lunchtime, you know what I mean, just to see how things are going. So let's scroll back to the main page again. So inner voice, let's click on that one first. Okay, so one tip I will give you. Now let's look back at the top of my phone. You see a little 4G screen there. Again, I told you I'm not in the best T-Mobile area, but I am on Wi-Fi. So if I was to do this voice analysis scan, and the way you do that is you click that green microphone button, you then speak for 10 seconds. So I'm going to do that right now. Hey everybody, just recording the explanation and features of the inner voice analysis program. If you have any questions, please ask. Okay. So that's literally all it takes, is just a quick 10 seconds. And if you have any trouble with it loading, or it's slow to load your analysis, then that's usually caused by not being in the best T-Mobile service area. And you can always check. Like, I just got a little bit of bars there. Now they're a little bit more, and then it'll drop back down. But on Wi-Fi, you can always rely on it being quick, just the entire app again. So again, unless you're in a just especially strange service area, you won't really have that issue. But that's just a little something. If you're like, hey, this is weird, it's taking a little while, what's going on here? Just throw it into Wi-Fi mode, and you should have no issues whatsoever. So what I have noticed, I'm using AirDroid. It's a specific app program to do a screen record like this. So if you ever want to do your own screen record for anybody else you want to showcase this to, and you don't want to share my video per se, it's called AirDroid, and you can get that in the App Store. That's what this little icon is here that I'm moving, just so you know what that is. So I have noticed, it's kind of funny, but when you record the screen and you do a voice analysis, it actually doesn't pull it up, your actual scores, which is weird, but it's just, I don't know, it's just something. But normally you can see kind of like a colored bar chart that gives you a voice analysis. So I don't know, it's something the way that it interacts with AirDroid, but that's okay. You could just click it and you'll see for yourself when you have your own device. So this is the report, if you're wondering. I clicked reports there at the bottom. Now, normally after you do the voice analysis, it gives you all these different insights, okay? So this report, and like all reports that you can get from the different sorts of programs, like Comprehensive or Vital Scan, you can just scroll through them like this, see what's going on. You can also email them. See that next to the reports button, do you see that little envelope sort of thing there? Pretty self-explanatory. Just go in there. You can put in any email. It already populates the one, the person, the client, or yourself, if you're already preloaded in there. But you can always delete that and add in your own. So some people, they just don't looking at maybe a small screen on their mobile device. Maybe their eyes aren't that good, and that's okay. They can just email these reports to themselves daily or whenever and look at it on a bigger screen. So I don't know if you can see that very clearly, but the first thing that it addresses is first looking at your body kind of as a full harmonic scale, if you will. Imagine your body is like sheet music, okay? And you got a full sequence of songs and melodies and harmonics on a scale. So the voice analysis actually will scan your voice to isolate specific imbalances or disruptions in your tone, your pitch, your pattern. And as it isolates these imbalances, it can indicate different sorts of symptomologies, and it can interpret those symptomologies kind of from the perspective of disease or stress, and again, all the different systems in your body that might be affected. So look at this. We have lungs, bronchi, blood circulation, chest pains. So it kind of goes through the different regions. And with the pro level package, by the way, we can actually do some pretty cool cross-referencing, even with this data here, with some of the other programs and scans and diagnostics. So if you ever want to get deeper insight into like, lung and bronchial, passages, is there anything else going on there that I should know about beyond just the voice analysis scan? And absolutely, there are other databases. There's other ways we can do much more in-depth kind of things. So part of the scan is not just physiological. You may not realize, but actually the emotions and the mind, mental, also dramatically affects the different sorts of metabolic functions in your body. So this is also quite helpful to give you some insight into those factors. I think that with all the different wellness technologies out there and just all the information in the health field that's come out in the last 15, 20 years especially, I've personally noticed that there just tends to be a little bit of a hyper focus on just the physiology, and I think mainstream medicine, certainly kind of paints that picture of like, oh, it's your genes and oh, it's just a disease. It's all physiological. And there just seems to be no discussion really of like the mental and emotional domains and how those actually affect you as well. So I do appreciate this app and this particular program for helping us dive into some of these other sorts of things that can influence our well-being. So we also have specific notes here that are stressed or missing or deficient. And this is all based on a lot of different sound-based therapies, music-based therapies. And it also says what's the balancing octave. So when you run the optimized frequencies, and we'll go back to that screen in a second, it actually will play the missing notes, missing octaves, the missing frequencies. As far as colors, it doesn't play the colors. What that actually, when you see that yellow might be recommended for me, well, what you would do is you'd go to your store, and if you didn't order this initially in your package, you can order for yourself, your client, Chromotherapy Glasses. These are glasses that have specific wavelengths, colored lenses, essentially, that are medical grade, and you would wear those for like 15 minutes. So today, I might wear the yellow lenses for 15 minutes, okay? And they ideally work a lot better when you're in natural lighting, and that natural lighting is passing through those lenses versus like being in fluorescent lights, for example, or CFLs and wearing them. They'll still work a little bit, but we've all kind of noticed a pronounced difference if you have some natural lighting coming in through the windows, or you wore them when you were outside. And then below that, it gives you some deeper insights on this report on kind of just different things to focus on and work through and be aware of throughout your day. And of course, this can change if you do a scan later on. So what's nice is all these different sorts of areas. If you're working on some of this with other types of modalities in general or therapies, you can always track your progress, which I think is really great. So that's just one nice aspect of the AO Scan Mobile, is you can also do some sorts of tracking. So when you're actually running the optimize tones, in this case, it's the play button there that says rad tones. And also, let's see if you can actually hear these coming through on the device right now. So I don't know if you could hear that with the AirDroid app, but basically it was playing some music, and that music, you'll hear, if you really listen intently, you'll hear some other frequencies and tones in the background. The music is kind of, in part, covering up or masking some of those tones. Okay, so those impulse patterns actually pass through the nerve pathways in the cranial nerves of the brain, through the headphones. Remember, those headphones that you're wearing are not regular headphones. They have oscillatory or oscillation coils inside of them. And that's actually through inductance going through your cranial nerves and like your trigeminal nerve area. So this is a very potent place to send sound-based and also frequencies that go beyond the audio range directly into the brain and the nervous system. So this is a powerful way to do a sound-based sort of therapy based off analysis of your voice. So let's move on to the next program here. Next one is vitals. And what is vital scan? So vital scans all of these different areas of your body. So just keep in mind that you'll see the reports in a second, but within each of these sections, you have many other parameters that are actually being tested. Okay, so these ones took quite some time in Russia to actually track down. There was a lot of time spent in, for example, doing different types of blood panels and analyzing all the different things you can find in the bloodstream and comparing those live blood, or taking again blood out of the body and sending them to the labs. There was a lot of time spent trying to find a way to non-invasively scan the blood bioenergetically and to be able to pull up the identical same parameters that were capable with this scan. So we have a very high accuracy level at this point in time between doing these type of energetic non-invasive scans and being able to match this up with the real world, I guess you could say more traditionally medical types of scans and tests. I'm going to do a scan for you so you can see what it's like. You just hit the scan button at the top. Again, I don't know if you can hear that sound, but it just plays a audio sound when it's scanning. And look at the bottom there. Let me move this little icon. It's showing you what organ system it's working on right now as it passes through. Again, just a little tip. If you ever see it's stuck scrolling on, like, let's say toxicity's level 2 right now, and it just doesn't move from that, it just keeps on scanning and scanning and scanning, that the answer always to what that is that your 4G or your T-Mobile, you're just not in a good spot that area. So just double check that. And then sometimes it will kick over to the next thing and keep on scanning once the bars are back up again. It's just something I've noticed if you're in a really weird surface area. Never an issue if you're on Wi-Fi again. So now that you've completed that scan, it takes you back to the main screen where you actually then see that optimized frequencies is highlighted. Now, before it was not highlighted. The fact that it's highlighted right now means that, oh, I can actually run a therapeutic session on these different areas that it's scanned. So let's click that. And by the way, you could see how quick that was, right? So again, if you can't hear the sound here, there's different tonal frequencies that are rebalancing and recalibrating these different areas of the body. And it does it quite quickly. They found a way over the years to take a process like this that took a much longer period of time and to make it extremely quick to modulate. So a little bit about Vital is something to know is that every cell and organ in your body has its own distinctive vibrational frequency or oscillatory pattern or rate. And if you're already confused by what I just said, for sure, just look into the FAQ document. Or again, I always encourage you to just Google some of these things. There's so much good information now on Wikipedia and other places where if you just want another quick dive into like, well, what is vibrational frequency? What is that really? And again, we have some videos as well. And we have some other materials, but if you're just out and about and you're just like, gosh, somebody's asking me something, just do a quick Google, and just look up what the definition is. But over the last 20 years, in the research project that started in Russia with the creation of this device and that carried over into the United States, 120,000 different vibrational frequencies have been mapped out in the body. And they were isolated, identified, cataloged through a wide varieties of ways, from surgeries to cadavers to different types of lab tests, testing all types of fluids. It was just pretty much any means at their disposal of getting that data inside the body. And then the key was, how would they then find the actual vibrational, again, pattern or frequency? And if they could find and isolate that, then there might theoretically be a way where they could non-invasively obtain that information, and quite quickly. And I say theoretically, at the time, the theory was proven to be true through extensive testing. And this is what we call the bioresonance field, and also within biophysics. So again, if you're looking like, what are these domains of science called? That would be one sort of way you could kind of catalog or phrase that industry. So if you're looking at my screen, by the way, I have popped up here one of the reports. And again, you can only get this report after you've done a scan. And again, you can email this to yourself, of course. But you can see, for example, this first one is looking at the blood report. And again, you may see some things in here that you say like, oh, triglycerides. Yeah, I think I might have heard that. My dad eats too much bread, and his triglycerides are really high. He found that he was sensitive to these things. But some of these things you may say, oh my gosh, I have no idea what these are. I'm not a doctor. I don't know what these things are. And that's okay too. So we have a video that goes through literally each one and just makes a brief little commentary so you can at least have a little bit of a basic understanding of those things. And for those of you with more extensive health backgrounds, of course, you may have a better working knowledge of these things. Now, what about if you're doing a scan for somebody else or for yourself, and you're saying, gosh, some of this information looks important. It looks like I should probably know what some of these out-of-range values mean and maybe what I should do about it. But I just don't know where to go from here. Well, there is the option of emailing this report to a specific wellness clinic, and that wellness clinic will take your report and be able to analyze everything and print out a report that has a lot more words on it. So basically, we'll explain all of these different values in a language that anybody can understand. So they're really beautiful reports. And when you look at that and you read it, you'll have no questions. You'll say, oh, okay, my blood glucose is showing that, and that fits over here with the pancreas. And okay, now I understand. This is really what I need to know about my pancreas moving forward that I may need to pay attention to. So it just kind of, it packages it into something that's very palatable for you. Okay, so that does exist. To get those professional custom reports that give you a lot of easy to read information, insights into yourself or your client, again, there is a charge for sending it to that clinic and having them do that. Now, if you watch a couple of our videos, or you're already working with a health practitioner and you send them this report, again, there's other ways where you can just learn about what these different values mean and what you should maybe pay attention to. So no, you don't have to send your report over to that clinic and pay to have somebody make a professional sort of easy to read, understanding report back and send it back to you. You definitely don't have to do that, and you can learn plenty and get a sense of things here. So just again, send it to a practitioner you might already be working with, because again, any licensed practitioner that has functional medicine, naturopath, an MD, even just a good nutritional coaching background with some good certifications, they might be able to give you a lot of insight into this. And again, you can also watch our videos that explain more of this. So again, I'm just going to keep on scrolling through here. As you can see, it's quite thorough. We do go into all kinds of things, including some vitamins and minerals, and again, all these different organ systems in the body. Take a look at even just this bone mineral density, things like that. The beauty of using bioresonance is that we can actually get this information, pull it through the nervous system, through the brain, and again, even more deeply, we're getting it from the energy field of the body itself. So the body itself has its own oscillatory and vibratory patterns. These are actually measurable if you have the right type of sensitive equipment or instruments. So the beauty or the advantage of using something like this is we can get data here that normally, if, for example, you went to go see a bone mineral, bone density expert, they'll run a variety of different types of scans and traditional tests, but some of those scans and tests are not even quite as sensitive and can't give you quite the same in-depth info deep in the body in real time that might be changing day to day, week to week, month to month. So really, bioresonance scanning, I think, is one of the more superior ways to pull in-depth information. And something, again, that's always ongoing. See, the challenge with traditional testing, like let's check out the hormones here, the hormone section. The challenge with hormonal balancing or just getting hormone information is this changes all the time. Let me tell you, it was different yesterday and it was different last night. So the body's always going through changes, and those changes can be caused by so many factors. If you're trying to improve the health of yourself or others with different sorts of protocols or modalities, wouldn't you like to know what the body was doing, how it was responding to those things in real time? That's tremendously advantageous. So we can actually track progress. Subjectively, we can only track so much. I felt a little tired today, and yesterday I was more energized. But my gosh, that's hundreds of thousands of different processes that give me that subjective opinion or experience. Objectively, I have no idea what's going on. Like I can't see into my body and see all these different things. And so it just gives you a lot more great data to be able to track changes and see really what's going on. So really, it's just quite extensive here. A lot of this info is very actionable, again, that you can send to somebody or take a look at or respond on. So is there anything else I need to say about this? I will say that I'm going to back up a second. So when you look at all those different things that you say, my gosh, I have a lot of things that are out of range that I'm trying to bring into range. Don't feel overwhelmed. This is normal. Or for your client, I'm sure you've seen this with other tests you've done for them. Of course, there's always going to be a lot of things that the body is struggling with or trying to improve. Don't be overwhelmed. You don't have to get hyper-focused on these things. By simply hitting the optimize frequencies button, you will actually start to address any of these oscillatory vibrational patterns that may be disrupted. And they can be disrupted by an injury or diet or stress or emotional, mental states, pathogenic infections, all kinds of things. And that can have a variety of different symptoms. So the key with using a system like this is it's a very direct way to then say, okay, we've done all these scans. Now we're going to feed back to the body, like a feedback loop almost, these different optimum oscillation or frequencies that the cells or the organs need. And so when the body or these systems or organs receive those needed oscillatory or vibrational patterns, it can actually recalibrate and rebalance the proper function metabolically to that specific region. And that's really the key. What we're trying to do here is to unscramble and optimize and improve the immune system. It's really the immune system's job and a big part of the brain's role, monitoring absolutely everything, all these different signals in the body, all these different messages and processes. It's really the job of this program and the software to basically just aid those systems in the body to do what they're supposed to do. And again, there's many things that can interrupt all those processes. So remember that those processes, the immune system, the brain, the heart, all these different areas, the digestion, the gut flora, these actually are doing a variety of metabolic processes, a variety of different functions and actions. It's actually initiating those things or regulating those things through sound, vibration, through light, actually, and through oscillatory patterns, different types of signals sent cell to cell. In other words, my point is there's a lot of energetic principles at play, a lot of physics that's involved in how the body actually works. That's why something like AO scan or bioresonance therapy is a very directly influential modality, because it works on the same kind of foundational process level of how your body works. So you may say, for example, well, what are my hormones doing? Or what is my production of this particular enzyme or this chemical or this thing that's needed? Just keep in mind that that may be the chemical physiological world, but in order to regulate and create those things, that is actually initiated by a energy signal. Again, it could be electromagnetic, it could be light, which again, light is coming out of electromagnetics. You always have an energy sort of thing that happens initially that then sends a cascade, an effect. So energetics is the cause, is what I'm trying to say, and the effect, like some of the things we pulled up in the scan, right? So if we're looking at different sorts of liver functions, those are the effects. But energetically, there's more foundational things affecting the functions. So let's scroll back here and we'll check out comprehensive. So comprehensive scrolls through all these different factors. And in some of the future updates with the pro level system, there will be even more things coming along. And with the pro level system also, you'll be able to do a lot more deep dive into these things. So let's do a quick scan here. So as we're analyzing all these different aspects, these different oscillation algorithms, if you will, these sorts of things as we're looking into, for example, the heart, and I'll show you the diagram. The device itself, again, is comparing different functions in the heart, as like one example, to a huge database of cataloged oscillation rhythms. And algorithmically, after it scans your heart or the client's or your friends, it will then present a score, a scoring that goes on a scale from 1 to 9. And again, you'll see that in a minute when we pull up the actual report. So that score is based on where that particular process, that particular tissue is at in its function. How optimally is it balanced? Is it working? Working compared to what? Working compared, again, to that catalog, that database that was painstakingly, over a lot of time and with a lot of money, found in all of those actual tests. So imagine all the different tests one could do for the heart. Okay, and we're taking then the mean average of what are the optimum functions of a heart. And then we're actually ranking or rating those. So we're comparing your scores to that database. And so the scores go from 1 to 9. The outliers, the extremes, are the 1 and the 9. These are the furthest away from the deviation of the center. What's the center? Well, 4 and 5s mainly is between 1 and 9. So we're trying to get scores ideally functioning 4 and 5. Okay, so that's what those numbers are that you're seeing right here. We also color code them, so at a glance, it's just a little easier for it to stand out to your eye. So like, if something was really much less ideal, that would be a 9 or a 1, right? So that's why a 9 or a 1 might be red, because red really stands out. We just associate that with negative, okay? Now, these numbers here, you'll just see one set of numbers. When I go back and I hit optimize frequencies, that's now running a type of therapeutic calibration for all these different values, all these different functions. And in this, we're looking at the different arteries of the head. Okay, all these different regions. You see those little lines that are drawing to them. When I run an optimized frequency session, we'll actually see a positive change on some of these values, and I'll do that in a second. Okay, but again, I just want to go back to the point that like a 2 and an 8, you see that yellow, so that's pretty close to 1 and 9, right? Again, not that ideal. You'll see one though that's a green, that's a 5. That's nice. We like to see those. 4, pretty good. Okay, and then out of all these scores that you see, you'll see a actual percentage. Nice. I've switched the screens because it's a little easier to see. We're looking at the upper body in this one. And I see that 0 to 100% from ideal. That's taking all these scores and it's averaging them for you, turning it into a percentage. So what does 34% mean? That means I'm 34% away from ideal. What's ideal? 0%. Or like if I was 2%, that would be a fantastic score. That would mean I'm pretty close to perfect, pretty close to ideal. So the higher the number, if it was like 98, that would be very bad. That would be a very extreme score. That'd be very far away from ideal. So in this case, this is 34%. And when we do an optimize frequencies, which we'll do that right now, remember it's highlighted because I did the scan. What we would hope is that when we go back, we'll see those scores change. This one takes about a minute and a half, something like that. All right. So again, pretty fast. That scan used to take a lot longer. So let's click on reports once again. Now, you see how the optimize frequencies button is off? I'll just show you this real quick. That's because you just ran a test. Now, if there is a window of time where you have to wait before you run another therapy session, just so you know. So if you just did one and then, I don't know, 30 minutes later you came back and you hit scan again, you're going to get that message. Okay? So it just says to wait. You don't have to do this back to back to back or just keep doing it like all day long. It's very effective. Remember, this is information-based medicine. So when your body receives that information signal and corrects it, that sends off a large cascade of events in the body that will go on for a very long time in terms of the body recalibrating and readjusting and making changes. So you don't have to keep on like running it over and over and over again or anything like that. So let's click on reports again. So remember, when you do an optimized frequency therapy session, this is when, if we take a look at the reports again, we should expect to see some changes. And we would be looking for positive changes. So the software in the phone compares the received oscillations from your body, again, with the catalog database of oscillatory frequencies. And then it presents the information on a scale of 1 to 9. The numbers represent the disparity of the two oscillations. The number 5 would indicate that the two oscillations are in sync, or close to in sync, like 405, with each other. So that means that the item in the body is functioning normally. So let's scroll back to this one because we looked at this one quite recently. Okay. Okay, so this is a really good example. And I probably should have pointed out some of these values here because some of them have changed to be more balanced. So the previous from ideal was 34%. Previous, what does that mean? Previous scan that we did, okay? After the current therapy scan, we saw now it's 40% from ideal. So I'm glad this one popped up because it doesn't always pop up how it plays out like this. Sometimes you will see that some of these values actually increase. So you say like, well, isn't that negative? Well, in the scale of a full healing process, the body goes through a lot of different changes. Okay. So the goal is that if we did this same scan in several hours from now, we would probably see a change that was back down again, or we did it the following day. Some values will actually increase. It's just a part of how the body recalibrates. It can't recalibrate absolutely everything in a certain direction all at the same time. If one area is adjusted, quote unquote, a more positive, balanced manner, sometimes another thing is affected. And I don't like to use the word negatively, but the body has a limited amount of resources in terms of positive adaptation, okay? So I could just give you a very, not perfect example, but like exercising, the way that your body adapts to that exercise and that stress leads to health benefits. But what happens if you exercise nonstop for 12 hours? Do you think there would be some consequences to how your body would adapt in some other areas like digestion? Like if you exercise for 12 hours and then ate a huge meal, you wouldn't digest that food very well because there'd be a lot of energy resources that would be devoted to healing all that damage in your body after all that exercise versus digesting your food. So there's always, it's like a dance, there's a game. Some things will adjust positively and some not so much. So look at the score here for the arteries of the head. Here's an example of a, let's say, a more balanced shift, a positive adaptation. We see a previous scan was around 40%, and the current is 31%. So it's a good shift. And so long as we just keep seeing these areas shift in sequential scans and therapy sessions, it means we're making progress. Depending on how overburdened or how out of balance, how stressed some areas of the body are, sometimes it takes some time to see some real shifts. So here's one. Today my spine just isn't feeling so good. So this is actually rare. This is actually quite fascinating. We saw a identical percentage. That might be the first that's ever happened to me. So for the moment, my spine is like, no, I don't think I'm going to do much right now. I'm busy. The body's too busy making other changes, and that's okay. So we'll see if we get some movement on that later in later scans. But you guys kind of get the idea here. So we're watching the values, and if you're trying to now dive in and assess something deeper that's going on in somebody's body, You may want to take an annotation down on some of these values. And again, with especially the pro level packages, we can actually cross-reference a lot of these organs and data with other databases and get more and more and more insights into what are some of the causal factors. So let me re-explain that for you. So this is, helpful information, of course, and the therapeutic is very helpful. But somebody may be taking a look at like the pancreas and say, my gosh, why are these particular aspects of this organ off? I really need to know why. So whenever you start to get into those whys, that is going to be something that you'll be able to dive into more with the pro level package. So I just want to clarify that to you. There's still a lot you can accomplish here, obviously, with insight and therapeutic functions with the basic app. And I probably didn't even say this, but this is the basic app that you're looking at. But again, if you want to dive into more of the why side of things and some additional therapeutic features, that comes with the upper level packages. So I just want to clarify that. Now, one comment I will make since I'm on the screen, you see the thermal view button. If I click that, nothing happens. The reason nothing happens is because I don't have an infrared thermal camera attached. So that may not be something you don't realize that we have, but we have a Metatherm level camera. Now that resolution is pretty much about the best you can get. It's as good as you need it to be. So you can certainly zoom in and you can see things in great detail, but on an infrared thermal level, what am I talking about? Well, the body and the cells naturally give off infrared. So just Google that one. What is infrared? And that's an invisible light spectrum that also has the effect of heat. That's partially what comes off the sun, light bulbs, all kinds of different things. Pretty much any object that warms up, that has a warmth to it, is emitting infrared, okay? So you can actually look at the body with a special camera, with a special lens, special software, it's very special, and you can actually get a lot of insight into other types of metabolic processes in the body. And a healthy body has a consistency of temperature variances and the ability to self-regulate temperature through different metabolic processes. So this was discovered a while ago, but you can actually look at the body with a thermal camera in great detail and be able to actually use that as part of an assessment or part of a diagnostic process to get more insights into the health of a person's body. So believe it or not, that is a very cool thing that we have. You do have to do a $2,500 payment on that camera. The camera legitimately performs like some cameras that are like $50,000. So you can get that. You pay an additional monthly fee that is extremely reasonable. And that can also even just be rolled into your basic package or your pro level package or whatever. And so we have literally the best deal and one of the best cameras on the market right now without having to buy standalone equipment to do that. So you can then cross-reference. Remember how you saw that comprehensive scan, you saw the vital scan. There is absolutely ways you can now cross-reference then those databases or that info with your infrared thermal camera. And that's how you can get also some additional insights. So I just want to make a comment on that. Also, normally you may see another button here as well. It's just not fully updated yet, but that allows you to do an ultrasound scan. So again, probably for now, if you're like, what's ultrasound? Just go on YouTube, go on Google and say, what is ultrasound? And then watch a video. The closest thing that, again, if you're not a practitioner, you wouldn't know this, but you know how when you can see in a hospital the baby inside the womb, and you can actually, again, see the baby moving around. Okay, that's a type of ultrasound technology. So we do have an ultrasound handheld attachment that is as good, if not better, than what's in hospitals. And you can see inside the body and also in color. You can literally check out your heart. You can check out your thyroid. And you can look at all these different processes of the function of that tissue and then cross-reference it. It's incredible, and you'll see this infrared thermal camera video and see a ultrasound video as well, but it's not covered in this video that you're watching right now, okay? So there are other videos you can see, and it's quite impressive. So I just clicked on Cepheid. That's the subtle energy frequency imprinter. So it has all these different functions. Some of these functions you will not see in your basic package. Some you will see in your upper 2-level packages, depending on what you enroll with. And remember, that's a monthly subscription. So just a little sidebar comment. If you stop paying your monthly subscription, just to be perfectly clear, you will not have access to running some of these programs on your phone, okay? So it's a monthly thing that you pay. There is absolutely no penalty to canceling your monthly fee, okay? There's no problem. You can cancel anytime, or you have some major financial issue and you just can't pay that month. Don't worry about it. The only thing I will tell you, and this is important to note, that if you are working the business, okay, as a member, as a distributor, and if you haven't paid for over a month, you will be notified by text. You will be notified by email. We will definitely try to make sure that you're aware, because, hey, maybe you changed your payment method and maybe there's a problem with your bank, and just some stupid little glitch. We certainly don't want you to be in that situation, so you will be notified. But I do want to make this clear. If you're working the business and you're not paying past a certain period of time, then you will lose your placement, okay, in that tree, okay, in that downline, okay, on the MLM side of this business. And by the way, you don't need to be part of the MLM, okay? So if you're watching this video, you're like, MLM, I don't think so. That's fine. You can absolutely use the software for yourself or your clients. You don't have to have anything to do with the MLM. But if you are a part of that, again, just wanted to clarify that point. So we'll try to notify you. Just remember 30 days plus. You just have to get back in touch with us and update your payment info or whatever you need to do. Okay, so rolling into this, you'll see at the top of the screen here with the original equipment, okay? And now to have the Cepheid with the rest of those programs, you were looking at somewhere around $36,000, okay? That's a fair amount of money for most people, and probably some of you people watching this right now. The reality of the situation is that we actually are making all of that available, or at least let's say 90% of it, the vast majority, available to you for a much lower rate, for a mobile device cost of around $470 at the member price. Retail price is like $670 something. The point is we are actually making all those functions on the much more high-priced system that we still sell, but we're making them available for a much lower cost. We just have to, what we're doing is adding in the subscription, the monthly subscription, that's anywhere from $149 up to $199 a month. So it really is a heck of a deal to be able to have all these programs. So on the Cepheid, okay, aspect of the original system, normally to do the imprint or erase function, you'll see at the top, there was a separate standalone type of plate, which you can actually see on the main website still that we sell. Over a long period of time, the team figured out how to algorithmically, through a technological device like this that has a digital display screen, how to essentially turn that screen into a imprinting plate, okay? So I'm not even going to get into too deep into what an imprinting plate is all about, okay? But suffice to say, these different quadrants here, or sections of the screen, these allow you directly on the phone itself or directly on the tablet display to actually make your own homeopathic remedies, okay? And or to copy remedies, and or to encode other types of devices that we sell, like bracelets, which I'll show you on another video. Specific types of materials that are used, incorporated specific minerals into our necklace or bracelets or shoe insoles and other types of things like that, that can encode all the frequencies that your body needed from the scans and basically make custom homeopathic remedies for your entire body or for your clients. And again, you can also take existing remedies and you can back up here and you can scroll down and you can find different types of conditions or symptomologies that you may want to make a type of therapeutic remedy for that you can take orally, or you can actually encode into these other devices that feed back this energy into, for example, your feet with all your acupuncture points, all your nerve endings that literally are connected to every organ in your body. You can feed back different frequencies directly there. So you can already see there's a lot you can do with this device, and we're still just scratching the surface for this video. So Cepheid has everything to do with working with energy and frequencies in a variety of unique ways. In one way is, again, you can pick from that list of conditions. In the pro level, you don't see on this one, but there's different types of medicines, different types of drugs and herbs that have their analog energetic equivalent, where you can actually work directly with the frequencies themselves. Remember that when you take a drug or an herb or a supplement, you have to ask yourself the question, if I ingest this, what allows it to work? How does my body know what I'm taking? Think about that for a second. When you actually get into real biology and study what this process is, it has everything to do with what we're talking about. It's a bioresonance. It's an energetic process that the body actually uses and goes through to be able to read the different substances, the different sorts of parts, compounds that are in your food or your drugs, your supplements, things like that. And it's then sending an information-based, a frequency-based message to your brain, your immune system, your digestive tract, to all your gut flora. That's what's actually instructing all these processes in the body, all these parts, to respond to what you just ingested and to initiate, again, metabolic processes that will incorporate what you ingested into homeostatic functions of the body. Okay, so again, this device, this technology is really just, in a sense, has reverse engineered how the body already works. Okay, and it's just now directly working on that same level in the body, how it works. So it's a very direct type of therapy. So for example, if you had chosen, say, well, I want the frequency-based remedy of, this particular sleep medication or something, that's a very direct way to get that medicine without actually having to ingest it, which is a slower process. What we have also found now in decades of bioresonance research, which is not just us, there's many other companies, many countries that have been involved in this for a long time, but they have essentially found that doing the frequency, let's say, equivalent of some types of medications, drugs or supplements, that they have found that the amount of side effects is greatly diminished. And that's kind of a whole other conversation. So there are a lot of other benefits to working with the kind of more energy to energy interface between the body and some sort of modality or technology like this, where it's just easier on the body in terms of how it works with what you're giving it, and how it can respond, and how it can adapt. And I would lastly like to say that remember that with a technology like this, if I picked a remedy, or maybe I picked a particular condition here to work with, my need for that or working on that particular region of the body may change once again. Okay, so what do we all tend to do when we don't have good diagnostic information about what's going on our body? We just kind of listen to others, or we take our best guess, or kind of wing it, right? A lot of people may be doing modalities or taking a supplement or taking a drug or whatever that their body is just not agreeing with anymore, or doesn't need to take anymore. But how would you know if it needs to take something else or something needs to be adjusted? It all comes down to the quality of the diagnostic or analytical data that you're getting from your client or from your own body. And so that is, again, one of the fortes, the strength of a technology like this, is it puts a lot in your hands, but it also puts that information in your hands. So if you're doing Bach flower remedies, which is what quantum flowers is, and again, there'll be other future videos that go into more of these functions here. If you're working, again, with other types of homeopathics like Bach flower remedies, how would you know exactly which one to take? And how would you know when to stop taking it or when you should switch to something else? It's kind of all inclusive, and that's the beauty of this, is that you can both make your own remedies, essentially, and also know when to change and adjust things based on all the in-depth scans and information that you get. And so again, some of these other different types of programs here, we will be diving into in other videos, but we will not in this video because it's already gotten a pretty long-winded. But I did want to at least just make some brief commentaries here on what's possible with the Cepheid. There is a lot more coming and a lot more that will be explained, and also a lot of unique ways that you can take some of those programs in the Cepheid and once again cross-reference with some of these other databases, some of these other scans and functions, and see what you need, what's working. So I think we'll be really impressed when you see some of those other videos. It all really does work together quite nicely. I would say that with the basic function, which you're seeing, again, the basic subscription plan here, there's still a whole lot, as you can see, that you can do. But once again, if you want to get deeper, as deep as possible into like the why and cross-reference all the different data and come up with even more customizations therapeutically, then you have to look into the upper level packages for that. But for sure, just get your feet wet. Don't even worry about that right now. If you just want to get started with the basic, get a feel for it. Then it's a great place to start, and you can, of course, upgrade at any time. There's no penalty to doing that. And again, you can always downgrade and upgrade anytime. You're in control of that by simply logging into your back office. Remember, that is your own personal mobile website that you get when you register, and you can make some changes there, or you could send a quick email to the customer service department, and they can make whatever changes you need. They can handle that quite easily. So I think that's it for this walkthrough tutorial about just some of the different aspects of this device. If y'all have any questions about what was shared, and if you are having any trouble finding some of these additional videos that will be coming, you can obviously always reach out. I'm just remembering that one of those videos and one of the programs that you did not see on this basic view is that we do have a dental program. And so while the comprehensive scan does take an average, more superficial analysis of some of the functions of your teeth, the dental program is almost a standalone. It is so in-depth. It looks at all the veins and the muscles and just everything in the head and around the region that supports the mouth, the organ. And you can take a look inside the teeth, and you can look inside all the different layers and levels of the teeth. And I'm just tempted to actually show you a quick insight, a quick look real quick here at the teeth. Just to give you a quick insight, it's much more comprehensive than what you'll see in a moment. But this is something that a lot of practitioners, or yourself, the health of the mouth, they have really found has a powerful effect on the health of the body. Many different types of health conditions are actually connected to the health of the mouth. And there's a lot of reasons for that. I'm not going to go over that in this video, but if you're watching this, a fair percentage of you may actually be having health issues because you don't understand the full status of what's going on in the mouth. So the dental program really is just like revolutionary for the dental industry or just dental wellness because of the detail that it goes into and the therapeutic side of it. So not only is it giving you great information, but you can actually directly go in and modulate some of these processes. So here's the teeth, looking at enamel, pulp, cementum, blood vessels, dentin, gingiva. So obtaining some of this information traditionally in dentistry can be done. It's complicated and costly and wouldn't always be that enjoyable, but you can obtain it. So there was a lot of work that went into the ability for this technology to be able to do this non-invasive scan and pull this type of information from the body. So this is just a very kind of simplified view, and with the dental program, which is an upgrade cost, you can actually dive into much, much more, and you can help people greatly with their dental issues. So just kind of wanted to show that to you because I do feel with my own background in health, this is extremely important for so many people. Again, it is a powerful influencer on health. And it's something that in the health field, myself as a researcher in the health field, I have just noticed that it doesn't get the type of attention that it needs to get because it does so dramatically affect people's health. We hear all day about your diet, the health of your, different aspects of your body, what type of exercise, the type of quality of water you're drinking. Air quality probably needs more attention, but you get my point. We talk about all kinds of things out there, right, in the health industry, but really, dental needs to be prioritized big time. So, with the comprehensive and even with the basic, there's some great things here that you can work with. And you can even address some of maybe the underlying systemic origins that are affecting the teeth and vice versa. But again, if you ever want to dive in deeper, that's just a simply little upgrade cost that you can get with the pro level package. And there'll be a standalone video that walks you through that entire program. Okay. So thanks for hanging in here with the length of this video. I know it's a lot to take in. However, I do feel like we thoroughly covered a good walkthrough of things. And for sure, there will be some webinars with some further training that will be coming out. There's definitely other resources out there for you. And so if you ever just feel like you're not being adequately met with some of your questions, or you run into any issues, don't hesitate to just send a quick live chat to us or send a quick email to our team. And we would love to hear from you because our goal here is to make sure that all the resources are just out there, accessible to you. That you don't have to think about, oh gosh, who am I going to call? How am I going to get this resolved? What type of info? We've seen, how that has not gone well in other companies out there, and we're learning from them. So our goal here is to make as many resources available to you as possible so you can easily find them and easily just hit the ground running. So if you have suggestions, please don't hold on to them. If you have any issues, concerns, don't hold on to them. Reach out to somebody. We would love to hear from you. Together, we're trying to build an amazing company, an amazing product that honestly will continue to improve and grow every single month. That's the goal. We want to reach the world with something that is growing. There's a lot that we can do together to even improve upon this software. What's possible with this? It's amazing as it is. But I just want to impress upon all of you that we're still open to suggestions because more can always be done. And anyways, again, thanks for your time, and we'll see you in perhaps some future live webinars, or see you on the phone or by email. And I hope you really enjoy using this program. And again, if you have even good testimonials, you get some good results. We love hearing about that stuff. It's inspiring, and we're just here to help you get the best results possible for yourself, your friends, your family, and your clients. Take care.